that boom, boom, boom.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the star of our show, direct from the bar,
PB.
What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, there is something I want to bring to your attention that we really need to pay attention to, and that is the big deficit going on in the budget, because that will affect the Iraqi dinar, because devaluing the Iraqi dinar is an option if they can't do something about that deficit. Now, it's not set in stone. We just need to be aware of it and keep an eye on it, okay? Also, the fact that Halbousi is eligible to run again in this election. That's big for Kurdistan, and we'll get into that here in just a second. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. In the document, the Judicial Electoral Commission approves the eligibility of Halbousi and returns him to the electoral race. Now, you gotta understand that he was removed for bullshit reasons, and his family is very powerful over there in Kurdistan. So it's a good thing that he is eligible this time. I'm glad he is eligible, because he does have a tendency to bring a lot of stability in what's going on between Iraq and Kurdistan. So you can see right here, the Judicial Authority for Elections of the Supreme Judicial Council issued a decision on Monday to ratify the decision of the Board of Commissioners for the candidate Halbousi. The decision, which was issued today, received by the news, based on an appeal filed by Al Samara against the decision of the Board of Commissioners. After examining the case, the Commission found that the appeal was filed within the legal period and decided to accept it formally. The Commission also confirmed that the ongoing investigation did not show any legal violations against the candidate, and they did not prove that he was convicted of a crime against honor or in cases of financial and administrative corruption. So that's what I'm talking about. He had a bullshit case ran against him. So yeah, he's back in the election scene. So I have a feeling he'll win. He'll be one of the presidencies without a doubt. On that news, U.S. Consul General pledges to strengthen trade ties with Kurdistan region. Now I won't read the whole article, but you can see right here, U.S. Consul General in Erbil, Wendy Green, on Monday reaffirmed Washington's commitment to expand trade and investment relations with the Kurdistan region, stressing the future cooperation should increasingly focus on the economic sector rather than solely on security. One of my dreams was to see American traders and investors partnering with Kurds in the field of commerce, she said, adding that the Kurdistan region has demonstrated strong support for American enterprises. And that's one of the reasons why the United States, I'm sure, is excited about Halbousi being eligible to be a candidate again. That doesn't sit too well, I think, with the coordinating framework. Anyways, the article goes on. You can hear her say right here, we want to bring more U.S. companies to Kurdistan and strengthen our commercial ties, adding that addressing existing challenges would be key to realizing a full potential of the relationship. Now you can understand why the coordinating framework is not a big fan of what the Kurdistan people are doing. They like to separate themselves from the United States, where Kurdistan embraces the relationship with the United States, which puts the Iraqi government on their heels sometimes. Okay, this is something you definitely don't want to see coming out of Iraq. We had a feeling it was going to happen. Remember, I told you Iraq, if they start to run a deficit, if the deficit gets too high, they might consider devaluing the Iraqi dinar. Now, this article isn't saying that they're going to do that, but this is what we don't want to see. Iraq's budget deficit exceeds 7 trillion dinars in the first half of 2025. Iraq's budget deficit has surpassed 7 trillion Iraqi dinars in the first half of 2025, according to the report from the Eco-Iraq Observatory, a specialized economic monitor. The report warns of a significant financial gap and highlights the limited options available to the government to address this shortfall. Well, they can either borrow money, which you don't want them to do, or they can just devalue the Iraqi dinar, which we don't want them to do. They need to find a way to cover that deficit. According to Ali Nedj, a member of the observatory, the actual physical deficit for the first 6 months of the year reached 7.539 trillion dinars. He stated that while total revenues were 62.003 trillion dinars, actual expenditures soared to 69.542 trillion dinars, which included a 3.132 trillion dinar for the Chinese agreement and 7.485 trillion dinars for licensing rounds. The report also pointed out that with the current oil price hovering around $68 per barrel, the country would need a break-even price of $81.6 per barrel to balance its budget, a target that is currently unobtainable. So you need something to happen where the amount of oil that's hitting the market drops and the value of the Iraq oil shoots up. This is something that I spoke about, remember? Many times over the years when we talked about the budget, I am always concerned about the price per barrel they're budgeting for. When the oil drops below that, I've always expressed the running a deficit, and you can see why. Because again, one of the things they could do to help this out is devalue the Iraqi dinar, and that's not something we want. The International Monetary Fund echoed the concerns in a report issued last July, forecasting a widening deficit for Iraq over the medium term. The IMF projects the budget deficit to grow from 4.2% of GDP in 2024 to 7.5% in 2025 and 9.2% in 2026. This is a direct consequence of a projected decrease in oil revenues from 36% of GDP in 2024 to 31% in 2026, coupled with the rise in public spending, particularly on salaries and pensions, which are the biggest portion of their spending over there in Iraq, all the government jobs that they have. So Iraq has got to find a way to come up with an alternative revenue. They've got to find a way to generate some non-oil revenue because they're really hurting. This is why when I make videos and I say, no, their currency is not stable. No, their economy is not stable. And they go, what do you mean, Pimpy? It says it's great. No, the fact that they are relying so much on the sale of oil really affects the overall value of the Iraqi dinar, especially if you keep running deficits. That's what you don't want to see. Now, do you understand what I'm talking about? That's why on this channel here, I'll do everything I can to educate you guys. Nobody else is going to tell you this kind of stuff, but it's stuff you should be paying attention to. This way, then, it gives you kind of an idea on what direction Iraq is running in order for us to even consider the idea that the Iraqi dinar might increase in value. The Eco-Iraqi Observatory has proposed that the government reduce non-salary operational expenses to mitigate the deficit, warning that reliance on the future rise in oil prices is no longer a valuable option. Do you hear that? Sitting around planning for oil prices to go up is not even an option no more. I told you when Trump got back in office, we're not going to be buying oil from people no more. He's going to go back to being the #1 energy exporter like he was before, and you're going to see oil prices drop. And that's not what we want to see happen because it's going to hurt Iraq big time. The report's findings, supported by Bloomberg analysts, highlight that while the Iraqi government is actively seeking to diversify the economy away from 90% reliance on oil, its ability to reduce spending and generate non-oil revenues remain a critical challenge. The government is taking steps to support sectors like agriculture, industry, and tourism, but the data indicates these efforts has not yet been enough to curb the widening deficit. So when people ask me all the time, Pimpy, where are we at? Look, I know there's people out there that keep saying, hey, we're closer than you think. It's not true. There's nothing out there that indicates that we are closer. It's getting ready to happen. It's going to happen this month. It's going to happen coming up shortly. There's no indication out there, numbers-wise. There's nothing is happening in the economy that gives you the idea that the value of the Iraqi dinar is going to go up. Now, that doesn't mean that Iraq can't get their crap together. They're trying like hell to do it. They just can't quite get there. Now, to add injury to insult, we have an election coming up in which they're already trying to remove al-Sudani. I'm talking about the coordinated framework. He is not jumping through hoops like they were hoping he would. Remember, they make millions and millions of dollars from the chaos that's over there in Iraq. They make millions and millions of dollars off the black market with the Iraqi dinar. It's going to be very hard pressed to get them to straighten up and care about Iraq as much as al-Sudani appeared to be.